Hello, hello, hello. Another insane trading day going into a long weekend. What are people doing to tune in to hear? Thank you for tuning in, though. Afternoon, Jake. Hey, Daniel. It was a short time frame jump on the trend kind of day. Happy Friday, Patrick. Have a great weekend. Hello, happy long weekend, Christoph. Closed all my shorts. Huge hit to my account. I give up being macro-based trader. There's just too much idle money, liquidity lying around to make sense of valuations. Well, their valuations don't matter right now. They will matter again. So I also, you know what? It's hard unless you get a topping pattern or a trade start trading with the rotation zone. It's really hard in these markets now. These moves are insane. The Nasdaq's insane, but if not for 8 stocks in the S&P would technically be down close to 1% this year. So think about that. uh had to had today to do anything with short covering and how much rally can be fueled that much. This was just it. Well, I didn't see a lot of short covering today. It was more just buy everything. Just buy. Just buy everything. Going into a holiday weekend, inflation data didn't matter. The consumer confidence and expectations came in a bit better than expected, but nothing that's going to really shake stuff up. You can see the Fed Watch tool, 65% now for a hike in June. Hike, pause. At this point, one cut November and pause. So you're looking based off this anywhere between 5 and 5.5% through the end of the year. That's where we sit right now, but that doesn't matter to the market. The market's in rah-rah mode. Next week, remember, nothing on Monday. Nothing on Monday. It's Memorial Day in the US. The futures have limited hours. Certain futures have limited hours. Tuesday, I'm just going to go through stuff real quick because everybody should be getting to their Memorial Day weekend. My brisket just showed up from Texas, so I got to deal with that. Came in overnight. Consumer confidence and Fed manufacturing index on Tuesday. Bowman speaking Wednesday. Chicago PMI, Dallas Fed Services, Harker and Jefferson Fed Beige Book on Wednesday. Thursday, the initial and continuing jobless claims, and as Bob mentioned this morning, ISM numbers, which will be important. ISM numbers and crude numbers, remember, are shifted a day because of the holiday. Harker speaking also on Thursday and Friday. We got at non-farm payrolls. Non-farm payrolls. So that's going to be another very important data point. Last non-farm payrolls before the next Fed meeting. So we have PCE out of the way, and we're going to have non-farm payrolls next Friday out of the way. If you look at today, it was just buy, just buy. Except healthcare. I mean, even Costco. Remember how Costco's earnings weren't great? Look, it was buy. It was buy. Here's your groups. Technology up 2.6, 2.2 for consumer cyclical. Look at technology, up 4.6 in a week. So let's see. Fear and greed, still solidly in greed. We might be getting to extreme greed first. These aren't updated yet. I don't think these are updated yet. Let's see. Nope, these will have, and we're already. There's another thing people ask me is, well, if we're going into a bull market. If we are, we're going from a very highly valued regiment. So it doesn't mean it can't keep going. And it's in trail mode from my perspective. And I'll give you another perspective for the people tuning in a second. Earnings next week, nothing on Monday. I don't know what that is. Tuesday morning, nothing really. Wednesday or Tuesday after the close, Hewlett Packard, U-Haul. Wednesday, one of my favorite stocks, Advanced Auto Parts. Thursday Wednesday after close, we got CrowdStrike, Salesforce. Thursday, we got Dollar General's, Macy's, Hormel. I'm interested in Hormel just from an inflation perspective. Then we got Zscaler, Broadcom, and Lululemon. And we're pretty much done. This is winding down earnings season. So that's where we sit with earnings. Let's see who else is here. Against my better judgment, I am carrying one micro Russell long future over the holiday weekend. Fingers crossed that there will be a debt ceiling deal. Debt ceiling deal also might be sell the news once it's done. Oh, Yellen extended the debt ceiling from June 1st. I knew this was going to happen to June 5th. So already getting pushed out. So William thinks the bull market is here. On price action like today, the NASDAQ, do you prefer taking profits if your trailing stop is hit? Or do you hit targets and get out? Just want to maximize upside? Generally, when some key areas are hit, or if we get like a double, I'll use that to take profits, not to short against this kind of move. All right? Not to short. I like in a very strong move like this, momentum bars off the open. Here, this is just all right, raise stop, because you got major momentum bars and then just start trailing. This was just a flag pattern during lunch, which we've seen. And then it's just trail. I don't have a problem if it's the internals start weakening with taking partial profits and then trailing. But when it's this strong, look at this. I mean, that, and then you just that 5 minute, your only time you return to the 15-minute was during lunch when you got the little flagging pattern. So now let's say, I'll give you another example. Let's say this see this double? Let's pretend it wasn't the end of the day, but we're going into, and this came down and triggered. Now I would not short against this kind of move, but that would be all right. I'm just going to take the rest off the table. Just going to take the rest off the table. If this is the market's going into 20 minutes to close, so this is not going to trigger, and you should have already been unwound any positions unless you're going to carry it. So that's where another thing, since I said we're, from my perspective, we're in trail mode. This key line is the 62.5 on the NASDAQ. Now, that doesn't shift the long-term stuff I follow from a systematic level. But let's say we close above this, especially on a weekly basis. Does that mean we're in a new bull market guaranteed? No. What does that mean? That means personally, I like to give, instead of having tighter stops based off the daily rotation zone, I like to have looser stops based off a weekly rotation zone or a prior key levels. Why? Because the probabilities shift. So this is a little bonus for tuning in. So does it matter? See, people say, well, long-term, I'm still bearish. Yes, long-term, I am still bearish. But short-term, there's been buy signals. All right? But they've been also, I've talked about, it's trailing mode. So if it's trailing mode, there can be two types of trailing mode. More aggressive, where I want to take profits sooner should we get a reversal, or more, hey, you know what? Some probabilities are now shifting. If we did close above the 62.5 on a weekly basis, all right, I got to consider that. We have probabilities that we could still have more upside to run. So, especially we are getting very overbought. So does that mean I want to crowd a stop? No, because we could get a bigger pullback first. But we have to consider that. For example, a return even to 13,571 would just be a return to the top of the weekly rotation zone in the prior breakout zone. So if I crowd a stop, then I could be out before we hit the potentially higher levels. Now, there's no guarantees we're going to hit those levels, but it could give it more room. For example, I've cited this a couple times. Here's the key level on the S&P. The S&P, you get a close above about 43.20, then it's got to have more room on the stops. So let's go back to NASDAQ. Let's just hypothetically say it closes, above this level. Got to give it more room. So if it keeps running and it never comes down and closes below a stop level, could it still theoretically stay in it? Yeah. Does it matter to me? Now, from a stock perspective, since we don't have broad market participation, that's a different story. Because trailing with the NASDAQ, and you could do the same thing with the spiders or the Qs. That's different because you're trading at broad market being held up by a smaller percentage of stocks. Let me show you this. Let me show you. We've looked at the RSP, which is the S&P equal weighted ETF, okay? Which, look at this. Look at this on this weekly basis. This is the S&P equal weighted. So down week. Here's the SPY, which is market cap weighted. Up week, right? Let me pull that off for now. So if we do a ratio, this is the people that actually who want to learn something. Look at this. Let me go to a weekly. Since the beginning of the year, equal cap versus market cap. Market cap is on a blistering pace, which means for the most part, and as I said, 8 stocks are driving the profitability of the S&P. And you can pretty much see it here. The large market caps are driving, and we've talked about this in past things. So that does not make me super comfortable that it's broad market. Okay? Yeah, the RSP rallied today, but it's only up 84 basis points compared to 144, which you can be seeing here. This is market caps, the large caps just taken over. So, and we're going to get into very toppy territory again. Remember, this mean reverts. Now, can it stay in toppy territory? Can the spiders keep outperforming the RSP? Can market cap keep outperforming? Yes. Would I be shorting, like going short the spiders and long the RSP at this point? No, there is no topping sign at all. That would be ludicrous because, hey, it could still go up above 3. It could go up above 3.05. It could go up to 3.1. But I'll be watching on a ratio basis between the spiders and the RSP because it's getting closer to a very key level. And things don't stay up there forever. Here's the monthlies. They can go up here. Okay? Here's 08. I think we knew what happened in 08, where we had a small number of stocks right before, and then kaboom. This can go up. But either the broad market has to start. Either the RSP has to start really outperforming the spiders, which I don't see that. Do you see that on this chart? I don't see any outperformance. I don't see even this breaking key resistance at this point. So either this has to come up and start really outperforming the spiders, which means you get a lot of the smaller components of the S&P helping lift the weight, and it's not just a handful of mega caps doing it. Or at some point we're going to get that rollover in the spiders. Can it keep going? Yes. So my point is, you can still take advantage of these moves because the stuff with long-term stuff is still based off market breadth and everything else. So people might go, well, if it closes above the 62.5, why aren't you just all bullish bull market? Because first of all, the formal definition of a new bull market is when it takes out all-time highs. We're not there yet. Even in the NASDAQ, we're not there yet. It's a long way off. It could come up to 15,198 and keel over. Also remember, where are we on a percentage basis from the lows? we're up 37. Now, if we go back, if we take our Wayback Machine to some of these key rallies back in, and I've done this before, key rallies back here. This one was 44 in the NASDAQ. This one was 48. This one was 58. Were any of these in a new bull market? No. I'm not saying they couldn't have. They didn't. So, if we keep going, that's why I'm not saying, you know what, that's why it's in trail mode. You know, and there could be pullbacks on a daily basis with ads and everything else. But it's not going to close this week above there, and it'd have to be a weekly close, not just a daily close with this overbought. But because the weekly close is actually even higher with a percentage. However, that's how you take advantage. So if it does go to new highs, it could stay in trailing mode until new highs. Do I think we'll get there? No, but it doesn't matter what I think. You can't trade, well, you can trade what you think, but a lot of times, you know, if you don't have an approach, you can outthink the market. Does this mean we can't get a topping signal, which we don't have yet? We're not even close to a topping signal right now, but based off today's bar. But can we get a topping signal well before we hit up here? Yeah. We could. Then guess where the stops will go to? Below the major topping signal. And I'm not talking like a 4-hour topping signal. I'm talking a major topping signal. Then the stop will be moved from my perspective. All right. Yeah, I love Texas brisket. I'm still trying to perfect mine. I cannot make it as good as like Franklin's. I'm going to work on that. Is there any? Yeah, Broadcom. Well, they have earnings coming up, right? And look at that. Right to the next harmonic. I mean, at least Broadcom's not insanely overvalued. But come on. I mean, what was the percentage up? 20% in one day? I mean, where do you see another bar on the chart like that? This bar was only up 13%. You want to talk about insanity? But, hey, doesn't matter. AMD closing above the 62.5, breakout of the channel to the upside. P ratio based off this platform is 500. Stocks can, you know what? The stocks are just shrugging off everything. And when you see it shrug off everything, it's just, hey, it wants to go. So don't fight the trend. I learned that a long time ago. Do not fight the trend. It doesn't matter if it makes rational sense. It doesn't matter if it makes valuation sense. It doesn't matter. Dollar index, by the way, continues to, there's the weekly. It actually hit the next harmonic. Stalled out there, little stall out there, but a nice little bounce back. So we'll see that closing above on the weekly basis to 62.5. So even on a pullback, be watching for a continuation play. Crude is nothing. 10-year just stalling out at that next harmonic. But we might see a little snapback rally next week if the market decides to roll over at some point. Gold, pretty flat. Silver, after nice little reversal, this is a very aggressive percent B buy, but it's almost to the rotation zone. So that's pretty much where we sit. Tesla, insane price action today. No more potential double. Came up to the little harmonic projection and the other thing, and then came back down. So still no close above the 62.5. So the double is still technically in play, but in jeopardy. Well, good job, business person. Where do we sit? See, now we're closer to the top. We should stop spending time on macro because it doesn't matter to stocks. There we go. Price on that Nasdaq is above all those EMAs and MAs. You reckon I'm using bullish? I would not be buying it now. I'd be in trailing mode now. And I would not be chasing this higher. If you're looking for something, I'd be waiting for a pullback of some sort. This is absurd. This is not, well, again, weekly rotation zone. Monthlies. So we shall see. But remember, also don't try to short without a pattern, because this can keep going. Very, very overbought. This is one of the most overboughts it was since before the sell-off started. I don't like Salt Lick. I used to live in Austin too, and Rudy's is good. I do like Franklin's does a really good job. You're welcome. You're welcome, Jake. So, with that, I don't think there's much else to cover. There was a little teaching from my perspective. By the way, the 10-2s on a weekly triggered the double top, so we'll see if we get followed through to the downside. But with that, there, see, you got a short-term portfolio. There's nothing wrong with that. Just always know where your stops are, and you can keep riding the trend. And the things can get absurd. Things can stay irrational. And again, if we're starting a new bull market, what's so interesting, if we're starting a new bull market, we're starting it from nearly overvalued conditions. I mean, we'd be starting a new bull market from here, and we're not even in a new bull market technically. I'd rather see at some point us starting a new bull market from sane valuations, not insane valuations. But that's why, even from a stock perspective, I can't find a lot of good stuff for a long-term investment. From a long-term investment, remember Costco, bad earnings. This was not good for Costco. And look at this. And it's trading 36, again, bad earnings, trading 36 P to E. I don't want to aggressively buy this kind of stock. Look at Costco this day, today, up 4.26%. So, I mean, if stuff was cheap, it would be a different story. Even Coke, which didn't rally today because it's consumer staples, 26.61. 26.61 for Coke. Where's Microsoft now? 35, even for a growth stock. 35. Somewhat of a growth stock. I should get. Oh, by the way, Microsoft hit. See that? All right. Here's another one closing above the 62.5, hitting the 87.5. So now Microsoft's getting into the all-time high area after hitting the harmonic. So this is where once things start hitting that 87.5 harmonic, again, I talked about trailing. I start trailing personally much tighter. Why? Because we're into that top. That doesn't mean I just unwind something when it hits the 87.5, but I'm not going to keep a stop. You know, I'm not going to keep a stop back down at 290 when we're trading 332. Heading into the topping area. That's just another little bit of advice. Can I put up the IXIC? There you go. Again, this is the whole NASDAQ composite. This is the whole NASDAQ composite. And you can still, it's still a long way off from the 62.5. So, well, there you go, Sterling. Good job. Closing it for a 3% profit. I actually personally think that's the right thing to do. After today, and the Russell is still in a trading range, going into a long weekend, you know, I'd bank some buck up 3% and call it a day and sleep easy. You can always reestablish a position next week. Because I might get in something and out something the same day. I might have different time frames. I might be in something for a long-term play like a dividend. We used to offer stuff on a service. But then again, there's been people, you know, you have to have disclaimers, you have to have everything else. Bob's ran a service before, and you know, he's used to put stuff out. He's told this story before. I mean, I witnessed it. You know, first 3 trades he gave out were all losers. I blew up my whole account. Then the next 10 were winners. You can't, I hate that because people don't manage risk. They don't manage size. They think everything you're going to do is a winner. No, it's not a winner. And I'm not a signal service. I'm trying to teach people what to do or how to think of the markets. This is why I talked about the different ways to trail. I don't want to, maybe at some point I'll do something again, but I'm more interested in teaching people what to do than offering and having people try to because also then I feel responsible for, all right, I'm buying the cues. Oh, wait, I got out 2 hours later. And then I'd say people after close, I was out. Well, can't you do a live stream every time you make a trade? No. Can't you do this? I'm not a signal service. And people take signals you can give them really good signals. Like when we were doing it a couple years ago, we had 72% winner. I think it was 72% winners. And we had a pretty decent rate of return. Yet people lost money. And this was putting out a stop and, you know, profit targets. And people just, I pick and choose which ones. And then they complain, well, I picked 3 of your losers and I skipped 8 of your winners. Well, that's not my problem. You got to take them all. I can't. So I don't do it. That's why I stopped. You know, and I'm not in this to just sit and sell a service to everybody. I'm actually trying to teach people. But you know what? If people want a service, there's a lot of services out there. Maybe I'll do one again. Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, don't, and it, you know, the future's still open Sunday night, Sterling. They're just limited trading. Very short-term portfolio. What do you mean, very short-term portfolio? How do I get over it? I'm I hit a psychological area. It's my ceiling for the past months, and I'm missing your question. Why not show a trade I did after it's closed? In Because I have to show every one of my trades, and I have to show every one of my positions and every one of the all right. I'm long the SPY. I sold some calls against it. I covered the calls midday. I'm now temporarily in another account short the spiders because you can short in a different account than you go long. What am I going to do? I'm going to sit and try to do out everything and walk everybody through it. It's not worth my time. I'm not charging for this. If you want to pay me a bunch of money, we'll sit and review stuff all day long. AVGO. We looked at this earlier, Broadcom. It's got earnings next week. It hit the next harmonic. I don't have another level beyond this yet. There is no level. Why? Because here's the harmonics. It was from the low on the 19th to the high of December of 21. It finally broke. There's your harmonics. I don't have another level because this is too far back. So we need to wait for a pausing bar. No more levels. I like to hear my biggest mistakes in trading: not managing position size correctly, adding to losers, not, and these were very early on, not sticking to predetermined stops, and they cascade because, all right, it's going against me. You know what? I can find a reason why I would change my stop. Or I change my stop. Oh wait, I think it's bottoming. Let me add some more to it. Oh no, it's going against me. Let me add some more to it. Now it's turned what would have been a normal loss into an extended loss, not following position size and constant risk, meaning putting more on one stock, like with the same setups, because you can have different setups because they have different reward to risks. But let's just say like percent B entries. All right, I have 3 of them. I have one in Google, one in Amazon, and one in Tesla. And one of them I'm going to risk 5,000. One of them I'm going to risk 10,000. One of them I'm going to risk 20,000. And let's just call it one-to-one reward. Let's just make this simple. So the 5,001, and I always like better one-to-one reward, so don't take that. I'm just using it as an example. So if I have 3 different values. Let's say I hit 2 out of 3. The 5,000 and 10,000. So I made 15,000 and 20,000 was a loser. So even though I got 66% winners, I'm down 5,000 because I didn't have consistent risk with the same kind of setups because I didn't know which one would win. I didn't know which ones would work out. There's another mistake. I don't make any of those anymore. So why you wonder, I say, what invalidates the pattern? Okay? I know that straight up. Also, position size where your stop is. Why? Because a farther away stop gets a smaller position, so you're keeping a consistent risk. So you can say I'm risking, let's call it $1,000 per trade. If I need a $10 stop on a stock, let's say the stock's, if my stop's $10 away, I'm trading at a bigger size than if it's $20 away to keep the same risk should it get stopped out. There are some lessons. Every time I hit a certain dollar number in this trading account, only account I actively trade, I tend to give up gains. So every time you hit a certain profit, I need to know more about that. I agree. I think it will be sell the news once the ceiling's involved. Inverse harmonic? No, that's a forward harmonic. Why is it a forward? It's from these lows, and it's the 12 and the 25% harmonics. And here, I'll show you exactly. I'm using this tool, this harmonic extension tool. Well, it's the Fibonacci extension tool. I'm anchoring it to here. I'm anchoring it. Let me get the right bar. There. I'm anchoring it to there, and I'm double clicking there, and I'm switching it to my harmonics. And all the harmonics are, it's a 12 and a 25%. That's exactly what I'm doing. A reverse harmonic would have been from these lows to here. And you see how it made a perfect harmonic cluster. So this was the first target area. We gapped beyond it. So what's the next target area? This. So you're using the same percentages. It just happened to be a perfect harmonic there. I don't know. Is that a compliment or a slam? Mike, I talk like young Sheldon. I don't watch the show, so I don't know. I'm just trying to help people. Literally. That's why I take time out. But so I don't sell my stuff for $1,000 a month or whatever. All right. With that, we'll have a good Memorial Day. Hold on, I did miss Jed. Overall market sentiment is sucking wind. What does this remind me of the end of 2021 and a half or 6 techs rocking higher? Feels like some institutions are selling into the ramp. The breadth stinks. It's not broad market. You have 8 or so stocks really driving this sucker. Now we had a broader participation today. You had broader participation. I mean, you can see it was, you had, look at your chips. It was buy everything AI. It was buy software. It was buy comms. It was buy communication equipment. It was buy mega caps. It was even buy Costco, that poor earnings. It was buy financials. Today was, but overall, it's been Apple, Microsoft, Meta, Google, Tesla, Nvidia. But is there a sell signal yet? No. I know people saying, I'm going short into the close. Why? There's no, I don't have a signal. Would I do this closing on the high? I mean, look, we virtually closed. We closed on the high of the day. That's insane to try to short into that. All right. Well, thank you. And I haven't banned your other account. Thank you, business person. Okay, so that's the name of the game. And remember, it's not about being, the markets aren't about being right. It's about making money. You got to separate being right from making money. When things shift, you shift with them. And I just told you a key shift I'm watching for. But that doesn't mean you can't take a trade. Look, there's bullish signs all the time in bear markets. There's bearish signs in bull markets for extended consolidations or pullbacks. Remember, even in a bull market, look, you get a lot of sideways. Sideways and down, sideways and down, sideways and down. So there can be short opportunities, or at least no long opportunities for a while in a bull market. There can be long opportunities in a bear market. It all depends on time frame, and time frame is key. Don't mix up, like, just because you're bullish on a 5-minute does not mean you're bullish on a monthly. Have a great weekend. Oh, well, Coco is back, and as long as he doesn't come in every day and say the same thing, he's welcome here. All right, with that, everyone have a wonderful, wonderful long weekend, and I shall talk to you all next week. Bye for now.